Yo, I'm not going to give some half-assed introduction to the video, so I'm just gonna get straight into it. I'll be spitting out a few tips and tricks I've learned so far while playing the finals, but I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as possible. So anyways, let's get straight into it. Starting up is a pretty simple one, but make sure you shoot out the ziplines around the Cashout you're defending. Shooting these things out will force your opponent to try to get to you from an alternate method, wasting some of their time. Another thing I like to do is if my teammate is in the process of stealing a Cashout and it's absolutely necessary we get it as soon as possible, I'll use my body as a meat shield to give my teammate a couple extra seconds in hopes that it'll get us the Cashout. This works out if your equipment is on a cooldown and it's essential your team gets a Cashout, but it's not always a guarantee that your teammate will get the Cashout in time, but it's a last-ditch effort if you're outnumbered and or surrounded and need the Cashout for the dub. Something else you should be doing is utilizing the canisters around the map. Use the pink canisters for the foam inside to block doorways and vents. You can use the red propane tank like a motherfuckers to blow shit up, destroy structures, and create more opportunities to get inside of a building. The grayish ones are basically like a smoke screen. The orange and the green canisters do AoE damage, so use these to force an enemy out of their hidey hole or to defend your Cashout. They're all very useful for certain situations, so get accustomed to them and try to use them accordingly. One other thing I notice people do is that even though their team is in the lead or in the process of winning, they will try to cash out a vault instead of defending it. If you're approaching the last minute of the round and you're already in the lead, there's no need for you to cash out any more vaults. The best thing you should do is camp the vault and try to stop anybody else from taking the vaults and attempting to cash them out. I've had people on my team pick up these vaults despite being in the lead and running over the Cashout even though the game is already near completion. Throwing a vault into a Cashout will cause the game to go into overtime, extending the match by another minute until whenever the Cashout is actually completed. So basically, if you're in the lead and the game is about to be over, don't try cashing out the last vault. Instead, defend the last vault until the game is over. If the vault gets into the Cashout despite the game nearing its end, it will extend the game by another minute, creating an opportunity for the losing teams. Moving on, if you have defibrillators equipped, save them as much as you can. If you have enough time to just revive your teammates manually, do so. If you're pinned down and there's multiple people around you and you need the extra support as soon as possible, then you can use your defib. But remember, the defibs have quite a long cooldown and they're pretty important depending upon your situation, so do your best to use this wisely. If you can get away with a normal revive, just do so. In quick play, you have unlimited respawns, but you still always want to respawn as soon as your timer hits 0, because if your entire team is wiped, your respawn timer is extended by at least another 20 seconds, which can cause you a game. But in tournaments and ranked tournaments, you're granted limited token respawns, so be mindful in how you use them.
Whenever you're playing a tournament and you spawn at the beginning of the match, there will be 2 available vaults. You always want to go for the vault closest to you, and this will be easily identifiable as the lower number. You do this so that there's not 9 people fighting over a single vault, which can get pretty chaotic. And this is the same case for a Cashout as well. After you respawn from getting wiped, if there's 2 active Cashouts, go for the one closest to you. Aim your crosshair over the Cashout to see the distance, and if the distance is a lower number than the other Cashout, go to this one. I know this sounds self-explanatory for some people, but I play this game with mostly randoms, and a lot of them don't know about this. If you go to the wrong Cashout or vault, you'll end up fighting 3 teams over one Cashout while the other team is just big chillin'. And this one goes out for all the thick boys. You can place your barricades in front of vents to prevent midgets from getting into the room. This is only useful if people aren't blowing the fuck out of the walls, but it's still useful to prevent an ankle-biting assassin chihuahua from fucking with you. Another self-explanatory tip, but don't let your points stay full. You can use these points to purchase equipment, and if you let them cap out, you're missing out on getting more points. Whenever you reach around like 2,800, I like to say, just start buying some random shit, even if you have no intention of using it. Another tip I have for you is don't shoot any mines on the Cashout if you're about to steal it. If you want a team fight for the Cashout and now it's time to go in for the steal, try not to trigger or shoot any of the mines. If you shoot a mine and it happens to be a gas mine, it'll linger for like 15 plus seconds, which can interrupt with the stealing process because you can easily die from the gas if you're not being healed. If you happen to not have a healer on your team, triggering these mines will mean you have to wait to start stealing the Cashout. And before you know it, while you're waiting, another team could show up and fuck your shit up. So basically, try not to mess with any of the mines in the Cashout. Do not shoot them and do not trigger them. Simply go in for the steal and ignore them. Another thing you should know is that you can cancel your reloads in this game. To do this, simply switch to any other gadget you have equipped and then switch back to your gun. This will cancel your reloading animation. Moving on, you can both drop stuff at your feet or launch it. You can launch shit by pressing the same button you use to shoot your weapons, and you can drop shit at your feet by pressing the same button you use to aim your weapons. I'm assuming this is the same case for a controller, but I don't know. You can do this with everything you can pick up in the game, and also dropping the canisters at your feet will not
not ignite them, but throwing them will. I usually like to drop the green and orange canisters around the Cashout for extra defenses, but do not launch them because they will ignite. You can also pick up your teammates' statues and drop them at your feet with the correct button. If you use the wrong button, your character will launch the statue, and in some cases, causing the statue to possibly fall off the map and get launched into a dangerous area. Also, please do not fucking throw the vault across the map in hopes it reaches the Cashout somehow. This is especially important if there are gaps in the map where you can fall to your death, because if you throw the vault and it falls into one of these gaps, the vault will respawn close to its original position. Having this happen is a waste of precious time that could have been used for the Cashout process, because you have to go all the way back to where the vault was and try to get it back into the Cashout again. This takes a lot of time, but it's plenty of time for another team to roll up on you. Worst case scenario, you end up getting into a fight with another team before you even try cashing out the vault, which will probably end up happening if you have to go all the way back to get the vault after it respawns. What's even worse is if you win the team fight, but you get no progress into Cashout because someone on your team decided it would be a good idea to fucking launch the vault from across the map. So in conclusion, be mindful where you're throwing the vault, because if you throw it and you miss and it falls down to the depths of hell, it will respawn all the way back to where you got it from, and you have to take your fat ass and go right back there to get it, and that's enough time for someone to fucking roll up on you. So yeah,
My final tip is a simple one, but play with your team and utilize pings. This isn't Call of Duty where you can go fuck off and play by yourself and still win your matches. This is the finals, and teamwork is actually very important. Even if you don't want to use your mic, you can still mark objectives and enemies as an alternate method of communication. And remember, don't play by yourself. Even if you're playing as a light class, don't go too far away from your team. Stay around your team, work together, and get some dubs, because the only way you win your games is if you play with your team, not if you are off by yourself doing different things, going for different objectives. It's just fucking weird if you play this game by yourself. Just stick with your team. Use pings to communicate which objectives you guys are gonna attack and whatnot. It's a team-based game at the end of the day.
but with that being said, remember to stay hydrated and to stay swaggy. See ya.